Hello and welcome to All For United with me, John Foster, MUFC, match reaction show, Man City 3, Man United 0. Joining me today, Natalie. How you doing, mate?
Hi, everyone. Doing all right.
And thank you, Rodney, for coming on. How are you keeping, bud?
Yeah, not too bad. A busy day, but glad to be here.
Excellent. It's been great to have you on the show. Obviously, we'll introduce you properly first shortly, but I just want to give the guys a bit of a rundown of what to expect in today's show. So obviously, we'll give our match reaction on the Derby Day defeat, but also a few talking points on social media since then. Things such as press giving a hug to a fellow countryman, so to speak, and Miller Turner, I believe, also did that. Leah Galton injured, massive loss. What does that mean now for the rest of the season? Arsenal in about 3 or 4 weeks' time. I think it's the 18th of March, which is so it's about a month's time. Massive game now. You know, I was hoping to put the Champions League debate to bed by then, but it looks like that could be a massive key game as well. So a lot to talk about, and of course we've got our competition halfway through. Nat, before we talk about the game, just how are you actually feeling right now with what's happened over the last 24 hours?
Can you say, John? It's just shocking. I think I said it after the Reading one. I think that was worse. But then it's the same. I hope my video's all right, and I hope you're getting me all right, guys. But just I don't know. I sort of expected it, but just not that much. I don't know what I thought. I don't know. It's a lot of things to go into, isn't it? And we thought, Champions League should be to bed already, but yeah.
Look, going into the game, I said it was going to be fiery. I thought everyone was going to be up for it. I think social media in the 2 weeks building up to this derby was really good. I don't think I met anyone who thought Man City was actually going to be as dominant as they were. I think a lot of people thought Man City was a favourite, and rightly so. So did I. I would have been happy with a draw. But no, I mean, I wasn't expecting it to be a 3-0 scoreline. And don't forget, even in our first season, in our WSL season, we only lost 1-0 against the Big Three. So a big step back there for me. I want to hear Rodney's thoughts, but first, Rodney, thank you for coming on the show, first and foremost. Really appreciate it. Rodney, what are you all about? Talk to us about you.
That's a big question. What am I all about? The podcast covers a number of things. Obviously, I've been covering things in the women's game, but it's ranged over the years since I began. Talked a bit about Man United way back when, and some of the men's. It's been a little bit political sometimes. Talked about some of the abuse in the games and the issues around football, but at the moment I'm doing a lot around the WSL, covering some of the championship games, like short little 10-minute digest of what's happened the previous week, and interviews with individuals in and around the women's game and beyond, because I interviewed individuals in the world of hockey and those working in charities around football. So it's for me, it's been great.
Yeah, and it's a show that happens almost every day. Well, from what I remember, especially during lockdown. I know it's kind of slowed down a little bit now.
Yes. Yeah. Listen, lockdown. Are you actually? I was doing something very off the cuff. Just to kind of get through the beginning part of this lockdown. But obviously with work and just to put the effort into doing one show, it takes a lot of time, a lot of research. People think it's easy, it's not. And you've got to be ready to do it all the time. And when you're doing things like this, you're giving all the time, and it's draining. So it's not as frequent as it was. And with that, I'm looking at different ways to be as productive, but not necessarily time consuming. So yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, you got to have the work-life balance, Nat. You know what I mean? You need your family. I could look at YouTube every day, but I've got a partner, I've got a daughter, I've got they ask me what's going on, and we're not getting paid for this.
Yeah.
This is out of the love. So
Yeah.
you know, there's a lot of people doing the same thing. So we've got to be careful with one another as well. So that's the main thing. So, but I do know this: the clubs need us.
Yeah,
they need us.
We do, and this is one of the reasons why I was over the moon when I was offered to do this on this platform, because I think it's a great way to kind of let others know what actually goes on in women's football that people aren't aware of. So if we can bring people to the ground, or even start watching them on TV at the start and, until they get loyal, and then start coming into the ground, then I feel like my job is done, and I know Natalie feels the same as well. So look, let's get on to the game. I know that we don't particularly want to Ronnie, what was your expectations going into the game? Did you feel like it was like underdogs, or I'm sure you wasn't expecting a 3-0?
No. I wouldn't have said I was looking at the Manchester United going into the game as underdogs. Obviously, the defeat running up to the fixture will play a factor, but just looking at the league table, you're not thinking you're an underdog. Okay. You're not looking at the league table and thinking we're second, United are second. You don't think like that. It's the derby, and you expect always a positive result in the derby. But the derby games, you know, these things can happen. So, you know, I personally wasn't looking at this game in terms of trepidation. I wasn't really concerned. But, you know, you still then have the game itself to be played, and what happens in the game, and injuries, key moments, you know, those things then build up and end up in a result that you don't like, but you have to accept.
I said to Natalie just before we came on the show, a part of me could kind of see that this was kind of like the pinnacle of what had been happening over the last 14 days, in my opinion. And I was hoping that because it was a derby, because it was a real meaningful game, I would have hoped that this would have been the game to kind of break that. You know, the Chelsea defeat, the Reading defeat. I thought that this game might have been the one where we could have kind of picked it up, give it a shake, and then, like, you know, went on. And potentially that could have been that game. But for me, I just didn't really see that fight or that fire. Would you kind of agree with that one, Neil? Or I mean, you mentioned the derby game, but to me, I didn't see United players seeing that as a derby game. But I don't know if I'm being too harsh for a change.
Yeah, well, you know something, let's be clear. You can have that point of view once the game is finished and it doesn't go your way. You know, I looked at it and I thought, this is a derby game. I thought that the players approached it in the same way as they've done previously. But sometimes what you expect to see, you don't always see. You know, you just don't always see. You know, what was key for me out of everything that happened, because there were so many little things you can talk about in terms of personal battles with players around the pitch and key moments in terms of injuries and opportunities. Control of the game itself pivoted on the substitution for me. And it did in the previous game as well. Hayley Ladd. She provides protection. That's what she does, you know? And the minute she was withdrawn, this game and the previous game, it went. And you can look at it and talk about the opportunities and chances, and they've been minimal. When you have the protection that she offers, and Nat will know this, when Hayley wasn't in the team before she arrived, there was always that question, need someone to sit in front of the back four. We need someone to sit in front of the back. It was always there. The question was always there. That question is not around anymore because Hayley Ladd is in the team. Now, whether she was injured, whether she was, you know, close to picking up a second yellow, whatever it is, the minute she was removed, the dominance of the game shifted. You know, United have been a goal down before, but stayed in it and come back. But it shifted. And, you know, for me, it just didn't go the way of the red side of Manchester. And personally, you just have to kind of accept those things. I look at it and I think, you know what? One of those days. And you just have to kind of write it off, because if you don't write it off, then you're going to have a knock-on effect for the next few games that are coming up. And you already mentioned the Arsenal game, but I'm talking about what that means to them as a collective going forward and how they kind of group together or don't group together to kind of get back onto the tracks of being successful on the pitch.
Yeah, I agree. And we'll talk a little bit about the international break. Is it a good thing or is it a bad thing a little bit later? You've kind of touched on that, yeah. But Natalie, I mean, your summary and on what Ronnie's just said as well.
I mean, I know I can see a lot of comments and people talking about defending. Millie wasn't defending. This one wasn't defending. Zellum, a free kick. And everyone's coming up with things. But I do feel like, you know, DJL, sorry. But he just said that it shouldn't stand on one player. But it's like it is. You know, like Rodney said, Hayley should come out of the team. And, you know, I think you should be able to mix it up. You should be able to have Hayley, and if Hayley doesn't play, then that person coming in should be just as good enough. But at the minute, it's not. It's the same with Jackie before, and you know, momentum went. I've seen a comment: momentum left after Tobin got injured, and it's, you know, it's not like Tobin is all our players, but we've, you know, Tobin, Leslie, these are big, massive players, and LJ as well. You know, LJ came on and changed the game, the Chelsea game. So the fact that now, you know, we're missing her, we're missing Tobin, we're missing Musso, it's just not good, but you still expect more. And, you know, I don't know. I think Case needs to take some blame as well. I think players obviously need to take some blame, but, you know, we're talking about, you know, this break, and I think they need a break, need a rest. I don't know what it is. They just need to get away, clear the heads, come back.
As long as they don't go Dubai, Nat.
Yeah.
I think I know you're a massive fan of Hayley Ladd, and I agree with you. When we took Hayley Ladd off, it did change, and it was a bold thing to do. But I think let's not forget though, Tooney, Jackie, and Katie in that midfield three isn't a bad three. Jess can go out wide, but Hayley Ladd's something else, isn't she? And I think for me, it was more important to keep it as 1-0 as long as possible, in the hope that we could have got that ball to Kirsty Hanson or someone, or Jess, or whoever was going to be out wide. And that's
it went when we conceded. I thought it was quite good at the start, and then the minute we conceded that one goal, it was just fell apart, really. And then the second, and then that was it, over.
Yeah, Nat, sorry, John, can I ask that? So, Nat, do you think that because of the results that have happened before, because you watch the girls all season, they've conceded goals before and they've come back. Do you think that because of the previous results, that the fact that the goal went in, and it went in quite early in the first half, it wasn't like it was towards the end, that they then went, damn, we haven't got enough time?
Yeah, I think, I mean, people say the passing wasn't good enough. Yeah, okay, passing wasn't good enough, but we were in it a bit, you know? We weren't really doing much, but we were in it. And then that goal went, and I think that's it. And I think, because of the Chelsea loss, because of the Reading one, I think, has really hit us. And I think the Chelsea one really hit us in that, I'm not saying we were on a run. We were winning things, and I think we thought, shit, we're gonna not win the league, but we are there. Like, that's it. We're gonna win the league potentially. Even, you know, some of the players have actually said it. We're gonna win the league, and I think, bang, that happened, and it's like, right, we're not gonna win the league. And it's just like, well, what are we gonna do? That's what it is, and I think winning is everything. And then now it's like, oh crap, we've still got to qualify for the Champions League.
Go on. So I was going to ask another question there, but I just realised that I'm a guest.
Well, I'll let you ask a question in a second, Neil. But I do just want to shout out to Matt and Ben, who are in the comments. They're usually on our weekend show. They're having a night off tonight, but nice to see them getting in the comments and supporting the show as well. So thank you to Matt and Ben. But now carry on, Ronnie. I always enjoy listening to you talk.
No, because it was what Nat said, and she said that some of the players have said they're going to win the league, and you know, generally, because I'm looking at it and I think, okay, you know, what are they going to say now? I want to know from Nat. And you as well, John. Do you think that the team can still win the league?
Not now. Well, potentially they could. Potentially, I think potentially, they could. I'd probably not, but.
Hedging your bets there now.
if they got a point against City, yeah, I'd say yeah, defo.
Yeah,
They still can, not mathematically impossible, but I don't think they will.
I mean, I don't. For me personally, I look at it and I think there are too many games to call it right now with regards to Man City and Chelsea. There are teams that are in the lower half of the league that have started to get form. They've got to play like Bristol, Birmingham. You know, even though they're do you know what I mean? So you those games are not a foregone conclusion for Chelsea and Man City, and it only takes a defeat before. One defeat from either of them for those players to go, whoops, we're not as confident as we thought. So, you know, I look at the game and I just think, okay, you got beat by City. You haven't dropped 10 points. You're just behind them in the league. A lot can happen. So, you know, I'm not writing them off. I'm not writing them off. I'm looking at it. You just got to roll with the punches with that one. It was Manchester City's day. Yeah, they had their day, fine. There'll be other games where it's not their day. And it may not be against us, it may be against someone else. And then basically United girls have to be ready to capitalise on other people's mistakes, not just in the game that they're playing, but in the league.
Rodney, you're not writing them off, but Jockey551 in the comments feels it's a battle for third now. I'm not writing them off, but for me, it's all mental now. We have to come back. We've got Aston Villa after that break. We have to win that one. Let's raise the spirits. And then if we win Arsenal, then all of a sudden we got that momentum back again. And then it's play the so-called easier teams. And then we got the I know it's a bold statement, easier teams, but that is where we are. But for me, it's all mental for me now. Casey's biggest job now isn't going to be picking the starting 11. It's changing people's mentality and getting that winning spirit back and that belief that they had over Christmas. And that's the hardest part of management, getting that belief. You know, telling someone who to pass to, or you know, some passing drills and stuff. That's the easy part. Getting in people's heads. That's the hardest part. And I think that's what the coaching staff need to do with our players. Because for me, I said on Twitter and I said to Natalie before we came on, if we played another game next week, I don't care who it's against, I could see us dropping points because we just need a bit of a break. We need to come away from it, do something, and then get back on that training ground, start afresh, and come guns blazing. That's what I think. I mean, some people would probably say the opposite and try and play ourselves into form, but not me. I think we just need to come away. And I also think you need to look at the season in like quarters or thirds. So if you said to most fans coming into that final third of the season, right, you're going to be in the Champions League spot, 9 points ahead of Arsenal. It'll be games in hand, etc. You know, all in all, that wouldn't be bad. I just think that because we've done so well, all of a sudden it looks like that we're doing bad again. So, Ronnie, I can see that you want to come in on this one. What are your thoughts on that?
No, I just think with the Arsenal, it's harder to pick up the points when you've got games in hand, because you're having to factor in the number of actual weekend slots or midweek availabilities that you can actually play those games. You know, in terms of when the league ends. So you can have 2 or 3 games in hand. Great, fine. But what does that mean for you in terms of fixtures? It means that you're going to play those games within a 9-day spell, including travel, including training. There's no guarantee you're going to get those points. So from a United point of view, they can look back at Arsenal and think, yeah, okay, you got 2 games in hand. So what? Doesn't mean anything. You still got to win those games. And you got beat badly the other day. So we know where your head's at.
Yeah.
You know, you've got their mentality issue and you've got the points gap. You know what I mean? So you've got 2 things in your favour already. You've only got to worry about the confidence in terms of the players within the camp. Elsewhere, Arsenal got their listen. Arsenal's all over the place. You know, people saying battling for third. United could play the next game and get a point. It's a point more. You know, that's all. So me personally, I'm not writing them off. I would say this. You know, when you look at the personnel and you think in terms of, because I saw a comment and it said that someone said they thought that Casey was playing press in the wrong position. And I wanted to know from that person, where do they think she should play? But if you're not playing press up front, who are you going to play?
This is a fantastic question, Rodney, and this has been spoken about on this show for a few months now. A lot of people say out wide. A lot of the American fan base who watch the week in, week out, they all have their opinions on.
Well, they say, I know she plays wide left and comes in.
Yeah.
But she's playing wide left, but we've got Leah. But now, potentially with Leah out, that's the opportunity then, isn't it?
That's what I was going to come on to. So that would obviously open a space up front. Now, after the 3-week break, if Russo's back, then all of a sudden, maybe we can see Russo and Press work together. Something I would like to see. Rodney, do you want to come in on that one?
Well, do you know what? I don't know if Casey wants to do 2 players. You know what? Me personally, I always think, we've had the conversations about Ross, and when she came and is saying, she didn't hit the ground running, she didn't get the goals. I said she needs to play in a pairing. I don't see a pairing in up front for United. I don't. It's just the way that Casey wants to set them up. She likes a single striker. She wants runners from midfield, wide players. Press did a really good job up in the middle on her own, but she needs players around her that are going to be able to give her the ball when she makes the runs that she makes. And not to say that United don't have those players, but you have to work on those things week in, week out. If you're going to go from being a solo striker 1 week and then predominantly the rest of your career has been outside left to come in, you're not familiar with making those runs because you're positionally in a very different position. You see the game in a very different way. Asking her to go and play out wide because Leah's injured now, if she is injured for a long period, I understand. But then who are you going to put in the middle? Because this league is about scoring goals. This league, honestly, you can concede 2 or 3, but you need to score goals. You need to score goals.
I think it's also about creating chances. And Jackie mentioned in her little interview after the match that we was creating chances. I still don't think we was creating enough. And the chances, some of them weren't even clear cut. So to me, even if you've got the best strikers in the world up front, or whether or not you've got youngsters up front, I think you're almost like not feeding them to the wolves, so to speak, but like it's a tough job up there when you've got 2 centre backs marking you in the WSL. So
yeah. Well, you know what? I know this isn't about City, but I want to ask Nat, right, this question and you. What do you think City changed to nullify the United approach? What do you think they changed?
I can't even remember the game. Yeah, I don't think they changed that much. I just think we were very, very, very poor, and I just think they're on form, and that was it. And I think when we played them the first time, we were on form, and they weren't. I'm
in the same mentality as you there, Nat. So the game where we drew 2-2 and where we won on penalties, I think we was on the up. Man City's form wasn't quite there. Their belief may not have been there. I think we was on our way down at the moment. I think their midfielders played a lot better than us. I don't think Casey could have necessarily chose a better starting 11. I think the 3 that we chose in the midfield, yes, it's debatable whether or not he could have played Tooney in the middle instead of somebody else and put Hanson or Jess out wide at the start. But generally, our midfield 3 were capable of winning that game. However, on the day, we was outplayed in that midfield. And I think that's where credit where credit's due there. And also with City being at home and with United being okay to sit back, I think we kind of invited that pressure, which made City look even more dominant.
Yeah, go on, Nat. Go on.
For me as well, I think that was the same team pretty much that beat Everton, and it was when we beat Everton, it was quite. I would say we were dominant then. Wasn't really much from Everton, but then I think that's it. It's a level up, isn't it, with City? And like where we are, we're sort of on that trajectory down. They're on the trajectory up, and it's just that's why I know we're probably going to go into it, but that's why I think it is a good time for an international break. And I never say that I hate international breaks, but we need a break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me personally, I'm not interested in the international break right now. You could call it anything you want. You could call it an early Easter for all it's worth. It means nothing. But I'm kind of mixed in terms of the break. I don't know whether it benefits United because you don't know if the players are going to go away and come back injured for those who've been called up, or if you have the break and you want to maintain the momentum and you're unable to because you have that lengthy period of time. There's no real science in terms of what benefits the break offers you. From just as a fan looking at you, just think, I don't see what that means unless you're going to fly to Dubai and say that again, get that joke in. But that's not happening right now. No warm weather training for anyone in February. So, I don't know whether or not the break will be beneficial.
The only thing for me, I think it will be beneficial is that hopefully she's saying Russo will be back because apparently she was training. She was doing the warm-up with all the girls, Russo, as was Lucy Stan. And then they're 50-50 on LJ whether she'll be back or she'll be further along. So that'll be it. That's the benefit I can see. I know people were saying before, don't rush Russo, but at the minute, I think we just need her. And we need her in that form that she was in earlier on.
Yeah.
We need her in any kind of form, really.
We've mentioned that in the past, Nat, about we want Russo back, but that's because we remember Russo in the first few games where she was on fire. There's no guarantee that she's going to hit those heights right away, is there? So maybe she needs to be eased in, and we saw all the other players eased in gradually, coming off the bench, and maybe playing one in every 2 games. We're almost reliant on Russo now, and that's maybe a little bit unfair with like Jess. We know Jess can get some goals, but she's not obviously first choice at the moment, is she? So I'm sure she might get a bit of game time there, though, if Russo isn't fit. Thank you to everybody in the comments, by the way. Please hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you're new to the show or new to the channel. On this channel, you do see men's videos as well as the women's team videos, so they're all on here. Excellent. I like that. Before we talk a little bit about Leah Galton, let's talk about the other injuries that we have had, Rodney. So how much of an impact do you think that it's had psychologically on the team as well with all these injuries? Is that what's kind of affected our performance as well? Is it playing on their minds that, oh no, we've got this fantastic player in Tobin Heath that everyone's talking about, she's now not playing, and LJ, one of our shining rising stars, she's not playing. Is that kind of grinded them down a little bit, do you think?
Honestly, I'd say no. Second, I'd hate to think so. I'd hate to think that grown women are worried about a teenage superstar to save their bacon. I'll be honest with you. I mean, you're mid-20s, you've been playing football, and you look at this teenager and be worried about a bit. That's part and parcel of football. Players will get injured. I would be concerned that if they were looking at Tobin Heath and saying, oh my gosh, she's not playing, what are we going to do? Because then I'd question, what is the manager doing with regards to their mentality if that's what they're doing?
Okay.
I personally, I'd be like thinking, you don't believe in yourself. Really?
It's definitely an opportunity for the other players who wasn't getting game time to step up.
Yeah.
There's definitely positives to that. But I think because now this squad's getting so thin, they're having to play week in, week out, and Casey hasn't got that manoeuvrability to move people around. I mean, at one point she had an abundance of talent, and he was on about leaving Preston Heath out at one point, whereas now we'd love just one of them back, wouldn't we? Look, we talk about injuries. I want to get your views on Leah Galton, Rodney. For me, I mean, I know that you're new to the channel, Rodney, but we really hype Leah up on this channel, and it's not just hype. There's facts that back that up as well. For me, the only thing that was positive in that first half, before the injury, was trying to get that ball to Leah Galton, and then we finally did get the ball to Leah Galton, and okay, she made the wrong choice by passing it instead of shooting, but all of a sudden that was our first proper chance. She's now injured. Don't know how long for just yet. But first of all, Rodney, because you're new to the show, what are your thoughts on Leah Galton this season, and also how much of a miss do you think she'll be now?
She's phenomenal. Simple as that.
Yeah.
She's phenomenal. She's phenomenal. You know, and she's the kind of player that there are no secrets to her game. Everyone knows she's going to go to her left. Everyone knows, but they just can't stop her. It's just like, yeah, this is what I'm bringing today, and you're just going to have to come with me. She's that good. She is a pivotal player for Manchester United. Just as Hayley Ladd is in front of the back four, Leah is in terms of the attack. She is forward-thinking, intelligent. She's direct. You know, she has everything that you would see a world-class player have to their game. That's where she's at right now. The injury, very unlucky, very unlucky. And this is the thing as well. You know, in football, you're going to get injuries. You know, very few people can go through football and not have a slight niggle. It's just impossible. It's an impact sport. People get close, physical, or you roll your ankle on the silliest thing. You know, you could turn the wrong way, step on the ball, slip over. It's one of those things. So, you know, she will be gutted that she's going to have to miss time. And hopefully it's not too bad. But the ankle, you know, you got to understand, people take their feet for granted. Do you know what I mean? If you can't walk, then you know about it. If you have an injury on your ankle or your foot and your knee, whatever it is, and you need to be mobile, every time you step, you're reminded of that. I have this problem. So she's going to have to be, I know, very careful. And also there can be no pressure or an expectation of when is she coming back, because you just don't know with ankle injuries. You just, you know, the player has to heal properly before they come back, because if they take a challenge and the ankle's not strong enough, it just make it worse.
I want to bring that in, but just before that, Karen has put a comment on screen about learning to play without Preston Heath. And I think we would be absolutely fine without Preston Heath. It's the fact that we're without Heath at the moment, and we've also without Galton, we've also without everybody else. And I think that's the problem that it is now. And I go back to what I said before. I think it's on people's minds. I really do. And I think the more it's on people's minds, the more it builds up for the following game. And this is why, going back to the international break bit, for me, that them 3 weeks, it's hard to clear people's minds in the space of a week. I think, you know, in 3 weeks, you know, we can try and clear their minds. I think it's a bit more achievable. A lot can happen, like you say. We've got the international breaks. Hopefully that, you know, there's no injuries, more injuries as such. But yeah, for me, I think it's massive. It's just the fact that we've got so many players out now. Natalie, Leah Galton, obviously a massive loss. What are your thoughts?
Massive. Obviously, when I think she went off when we were 1-0 down already, or I can't really remember, but the fact that, you know, she went off, then that was just, it was just sort of, like you say, she had that chance. She was creating chances. It was going down her wing. You know, with her on the pitch, we can potentially score. And then I just think the minute that she went off, it was sort of like, well, it's another one, you know. And I think, like you say, we're in that spiral now, sort of, you know, because I think when we found out about Tobin, we had LJ and LJ could come on. Now LJ's injured. Now Leah's injured. It's just, like you say, I think what you say it is right in terms of the mentality it's in her head. But I think it's more Tobin went out and then it was just bam, 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 and it's spiraling, all these injuries. And I just think they need to look at them. I know Arsenal did an internal investigation on their injuries. I think we need to look at why we're getting so many injuries. And I know, you know, maybe last year we didn't have any, but I remember points where Leah was out. I don't think I've remembered Leah completing a full season. So, you know, is it, you know, LJ got an injury, first ever injury, like proper serious one. I know she's only young, but, you know, but she keeps getting the same injury. So what's going on? You know, people are saying massive loss. Definitely, she's a massive loss. But like all the other players, it's just adding to that, to the losses that we are dealing with already.
Just very quickly, Rodney. I mean, Nat, you talk about the injuries there and why it's happening. Could it be the intensity that we play at? So Kate is always saying we have to work harder than the rest. If we run faster, run more, press harder than the rest, then the ability side of it, you know, the ability is there. So if the work rate's there, so maybe maybe they are not trying too hard. That's not really the right thing to say, but maybe they are either not fit enough or being pushed too hard, maybe. And they shouldn't be as professional athletes, but you know, it does seem very common that we're getting a lot of injuries. Obviously, some of them are down to tackles, and it's not just like fitness kind of injuries or fatigue injuries, but maybe some muscles could go in that way. But Rodney, did you want to say something? Just
no, I mean, I was listening to what Nat was saying, and she's, you know, in terms about doing a analysis of the injuries, and you know, I can understand that, and it does make sense. And I suppose any big club will do an analysis of injuries and you know, how they occur and at what point in the game did they occur, and did the injury happen because they looked at a specific kind of training session the week before, days before, and they worked in that particular area. You just don't know. So for clubs to do that, you would expect, in terms of the injuries for LJ, you know, how many, you know, in the men's game, young footballers get injuries as they're growing, as part of their growing, you know, sprouts, and they increase, and they become, their bones become more denser, and etc., and playing football with more frequency. I suppose that's going to happen, you know, with LJ, because just generally she's still a teenager, she's still, you know, growing into being an adult. Everyone else, in terms of what happens with like impact injuries in the game, and like I say, you can literally roll your ankle stepping on the ball, doing the silliest thing. So it can happen. Football is one of those games where if no one comes off without being slightly, with a slight dig, then you're going to ask yourself, well, what game were you playing? I mean, you've got to be close to someone to get the ball off them. You've got to be close to get past someone with the ball. You know, you're not always going to have it your own way. It's just the way of football. And you know, to say that you're going to get away with no injuries is or no knocks or no niggles, it's, you know, you're going to be very, very, very lucky for that to happen. But you know, it is true, when you look at the injuries throughout the team, there are a lot, and sometimes it happens like that. You know, you wait 2 years and you think, oh, we're really lucky, and then bang, 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 you get like 4 players injured at once. You just think, whoa,
yeah,
it happens, and it can happen to any team.
Mm-hmm. I see a comment there, Corinne, saying about practice ground, training ground. I know that they've been at Lee, and that's where they train, and they train in the pitches behind. But I know recently they've been at Carrington a lot, and that's because the Lee pitches are frozen. So obviously Carrington is a lot better. You know, you can't say that. I mean, you know, what is there something to do with potentially going between two players? I don't know. Is it then they come back to Lee and then it happens? Or is it because they're going to Carrington? You know, I do think that is an area that should be looked at a bit more, and what's going on there.
Yeah.
One last thing there before we do move on. The men's team, not so much this season, but in recent seasons, have had a lot of niggly injuries. Some of it does come from training as well. So maybe there is something behind the scenes that the club can look at if it is more to do with that kind of injury. We want to change the tone a little bit. It's competition time, so I'm sure everyone who's watching this has watched the show before. But All for United have teamed up with Football Town, fantastic website that sells football apparel. There's some lovely stuff on there. Please check it out. They're helping us reach our goal of 3,000 subscribers. When we get to 2,500 subscribers, we're going to give away some merchandise. We're currently on about 2,200 subscribers, so we've still got a little bit of way to go, but I'm sure we'll get there. To be entered into the prize draw, you just have to answer one question. So the first 5 people with the correct answer, put it in the comments, and I will put your comments on screen and keep an eye. I'll keep an eye for them for the rest of the show. Today's question is: which one of our new signings this season scored first?
Oh God, I don't know that.
I did.
Have a think. There's only 6 to choose from, so there's only 6 players to choose from. So which one of our new signings scored first?
Jane Ross.
Rodney wants to get into the competition. Yeah, you've only got 6 to choose from, guys. So put some guesses in there.
Everyone's saying it. I think it's right.
Myriads.
John Fry, I think he wins every week. Good to see you, John.
Oh.
Karen again. I believe that is the 5, so I need to come back and you guys will be entered into the draw. But thank you all for entering, and hopefully one of you guys will get drawn out the hat. And that'll be, I don't know exactly when, but it'll be when we get to 2,500 subscribers. So keep your eye out for All for United and subscribe if you haven't already. Something happened after the game, in the derby. It's got social media talking. I'm going to have my say on it. It was the hug after the game between fellow American ladies, but also we saw pictures of Millie Turner as well. And a lot of people kicking up a fuss about it. I had a message today off someone off Twitter, an American person. I don't know if it's male or female because the screen name didn't say that. And he or she couldn't understand why Man United fans, possibly myself, possibly other fans who I know, they couldn't understand why we would be unhappy with what we saw, because it's almost like a common thing in the American game. And that person saw it as 2 American players who may not have seen each other, just wanted to kind of have a bit of a catch up after the game. Me personally, I was against it. I can't see why, after you've just lost 3-0 to your rivals, you want to be hugging anyone. If it was a men's game, I'd be right down a tunnel, kicking a bottle, and not even want to be on that pitch any longer than I need to be. I appreciate you have to stay on the pitch in the women's game, so it's a bit harder to walk away. I just cast my mind back to Man United greats. Gary Neville never even made eye contact with Phil Neville in the tunnel.
That's just families anyway.
There could be that as well. Peter Schmeichel, Gary Neville, basically just ignored. Well, Peter Schmeichel offered a handshake, I think, and Gary Neville kind of just said clear off. And that was just before the match. I get that. I don't think it should be. Me personally, I wouldn't have done that. I would have waited an hour or two after the game, meet outside the stadium and say, hello, how you doing? How's the family? Would I be doing it right after you've lost? No, I wouldn't. So that's just me personally, and I can see why a lot of fans wouldn't like that. Natalie, let's bring you in on this one first. What are your thoughts on that? I'm not saying it was wrong, because there is no right or wrong answer.
Yeah. Listen, people are people. She knows her. She's probably not seen her. COVID, they're all locked away. Fair, she wants to hug and catch up. Great. But I think, like what you said, isn't it? We just lost 3-0. And, for example, I think if there's fans there, they wouldn't have done it. Even Roy Keane said, fans in Old Trafford when Maguire and John Stone, they wouldn't have done it. There's more hugs than yellow cards, he said. It's a derby. You're supposed to have that passion, have that fire. These are your rivals. These are the people that you're supposed to hate. And I get it. She shouldn't hate her. She's a friend and this and that, whatever. Great. I don't, if you go out for a coffee with her, great. She's your mate. Okay, I understand. But, like you say, when it's the game and it's happened and you've just lost, I think you should... people saying, I don't understand. Well, go back and look at old derbies and then tell me about, I don't understand. I remember, Raphael running up into, I think it was Balotelli or Tevez's face, and they were like ready to fight each other. And they were just teammates just the year before. So for me, maybe it's, people are like, United fans this, but listen, this is football. For me, football is about rivalry, is about your badge. I've got this on. That's what I go and fight for. That's when I go to the stadium. That's who I'm coming for. And to then hug, and they're going on Manchester's blue, and people are liking it, and I'm just thinking, come on, man. But
is it
it's
because
changing. I think it's changing a bit more. It'll change.
We come from the men's game, so because we come from the men's game, and it's more like that. And obviously, we're coming to the women's game. Don't forget. So. It's us that's like learning about the women's game.
Yeah.
For me, I don't think you'll see that in the men's game. So that's kind of what I'm comparing it to. You know, this wasn't a men's game. This was a women's game. John Fry in the comments are saying that it's not. It wasn't anything. It's just friends. Ben in the comments says, you know, do you hugging off the pitch, show some respect after the humiliating defeat? And I think obviously he's very similar to us in his background as well. Rodney, what are your thoughts on this, mate?
You know, I'm an old fogey in comparison to both of you, and I probably would have been, as a player, not necessarily, if I had played against my friends, it probably wouldn't even have crossed my mind to gone over to my friend. I would have been with my teammates, but things have changed. This is the realization. Things have changed, times have changed, and what we see on TV, whether it's men or women playing football and they kind of know one another and in the same social circles, you know what, to me, it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me. I'm interested in the 90 minutes and what you do in the 90 minutes. At the end of the game, if you choose to say hello to someone or hug them, if it was a World Cup and we see them exchanging shirts and putting a arm around it, we see it all the time. I think with the derby, there's a little bit more of an edge in terms of the emotions from the fans' point of view as to what we expect them to do. And I think that is right. If it was just Birmingham or whatever do you want, I'm not bothered. Well, it's Man United, Man City, Man United people. That's where it's different. Yeah, no, I'm not saying I totally get it. I totally get it. But I think in terms of the comment about, you know, the fact that the fans weren't there, that was also a factor as well. I personally, I think with the number of times the teams play one another between now and whenever the fans return, you know, as an outsider looking in, as a supporter, we're just going to have to stomach that a little bit. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm sure there's going to be another derby. I know there's going to be another derby at some point soon. Yeah. Before we get back into being in the grounds, and that might happen again. And you just think, you know what? Okay, fine. But I'm interested in what you do on the pitch. I'm interested in what you do in the 90 minutes. What you do after that, I'm not going to get too upset about it. But I understand some people will say that's not what they want to see. You know, that's their bag. Personally, fellow countrymen hugging one another in a foreign land. I mean, you know, come on. How many times have we been on holiday and all of a sudden you see someone from your neighborhood? You're like, bro, what are you saying? What are you doing there? You know what I mean? You bump into them. In a sense, it's almost the same, but it's not. But I totally get what Nat's saying about it being a derby. You don't expect it. But, you know, what can we truly do?
This is the debate, because I think a lot of people in the comments split, but maybe leaning a bit more towards what you're saying, Rodney. But to me, it's not even about, forget what the fans think, forget what's expected. You've just lost the match. The last thing on your mind at that present moment should be, oh, that's my mate, I haven't seen him for ages. How you doing, mate? I mean, I know maybe that's just me, and I'm not even a footballer, but if I've lost something, I'd be so annoyed. Or with everything that's gone on, especially that game, I don't know how I could kind of just switch it back off again. You know, the usual enemies a few minutes ago, and then I agree. There should be. I definitely agree and understand that they want to catch up with each other, but not right away. Give it an hour. Have a shower. Have a team talk. You know, I'll call you when you're in your dressing room. I don't know. Something for me. I just don't think that they're quite right. But obviously, I've come from the men's game, and it's
well, like I say, it's very different in the women's game, and when we watch the World Cup. When we watch the World Cup, we see it happen and we just kind of take it for granted. That's the thing. But in terms of the derby, yes, I get it. You don't want to see that. But, you know.
For me, though, what it is with the women's game, this is what I don't understand about it. So you say that in the women's game, it's different. I agree. Yeah, and it is different. And you know the players and you can do. So there are a lot of things that are different. But then what I don't understand is they sell it like this is the derby. This is the same thing. This is the same club. This is this. Manchester United are in now, and you know the derby is where it's more means more and all this shit. So they sell it like that, but then the actions is different. So how can you then sell it to the people and wrap it up and say it's a derby, it's the same, and then say, because I remember when they even did the Liverpool one, they did same rivalry, different teams, or some sold it like. You know, it's the same. You're selling to people. This is what I don't understand, how people can get upset, because when they go and watch it on the telly and BT is selling it to them, they're saying this, because that's how they are selling women's football. They're selling it as, men or women, don't matter. And that's how it's always been portrayed. And that's how when I go there, they go, yeah, we want the derby, and this is how the players come across. Yeah, that fire they want. And I think the players do want it. I legit think. But then, and the media companies sell it like that. But then you'll get, why are you upset? What do you mean, why am I upset? You've told me it's the same derby. Of course I'm upset. So when I see people say, no, this is not the one, and they pull up Maguire and they pull up Press, and then suddenly, it's a big deal, Man United fans did. And I'm thinking to myself, well, you sold it to us. It's the same. So why are you there getting upset when people cuss Maguire, people are going to cuss Press and Millie and all that?
Yeah,
so,
listen,
the same.
Competing voices. Everyone wants to be the most vocal voice with regards to the point. And what you said is bang on. I get it. But when, like you say, when they pick out examples in the men's game, where you just think, wow, I've watched Champions League games for the men's, and as soon as the game is over, I see our top footballers talking to the opposition like it's nothing, and they could have lost, but they're still talking, and no one's really making anything of it. So again, like I say, I get it, but I'm personally, from my point of view, I'm only concerned with what they do on the pitch, and once the 90 minutes is over, that's it. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to get too worked up about whether you're going to hug your friend. That's, I'm too worried about the result.
There's two more topics I want to talk about, but I just want to answer that comment on screen, saying that my last live show, I said I was settled with a win, but if this is a derby and it's a fight, then you should want to win. I do want to win, but I would have took a point against City, and this is one of the reasons why. I thought City was the favourites. I know Ronnie at the start of the show says that we weren't necessarily underdogs. I thought we was playing away against City. They was on the way up. I thought that we was in a tough time, and I would have took a draw. And now I would have definitely took a draw. So that was my point on that. Of course, I want to win. I want to batter him and go on social media and cheer it as loud as I can and this, that, and the other. But unfortunately, I would have been happy with the draw. Look, there's two topics left. One is the question now: did we overachieve at the start of the season? And then the second topic, my very first podcast on YouTube was with Ronnie. Ronnie invited me on.
Look how that went wrong.
You thought you got out of that one, Ronnie. It's all your fault while I'm here, Ronnie.
Yeah, someone's got to be blamed.
Ella Toon, it was about Ella Toon and her performance. So at the very end of the show, I'd just like to hear your thoughts on Ella and how she's progressing. But first of all, have we overachieved so far this season up until the last couple of 3 weeks? And the reason why I'll say that is none of the fans really thought that we was going to be in a title race, but we have been. Did we expect to win the likes of Arsenal and draw our first game of the season against Chelsea? We know it was possible, but it wasn't necessarily expected. I keep on saying it almost every week. Last season, we finished 18 points off top of the league. At one point, we was top of the league. Everything was going well. There's a chap in the comments called David Aki, who's a Chelsea fan, who's loving life at the moment. But admittedly, I never heard the guy when Man United was top of the league. And now all of a sudden he's popping up.
He's lost. Yeah. He must have taken the wrong turn.
I think the question is, did we overachieve, or are we just slacking now because of all the injuries? Because I don't think we overachieved if it was down. If we still have had Tobin, if we still had LJ, if we still had Galton, if we still had everybody else who's been out, could we have still been up there? That's the kind of question I was want to ask you guys. Ron, did you want to start off on this one?
I'm going to be it's going to be short for me. I don't think United have overachieved. I don't think they've overachieved. I think with everything that you've mentioned in terms of the injuries, they are where they are meant to be in the league. I see them as the third best team in the league at the moment. Personnel, not being injured might be different. Manchester United are still a work in progress, even though they are where they are right now. They're not the finished article, not by a long shot, not by a long shot. You know, and Casey's done a remarkable, not even, I used the wrong word, a fantastic job doing what she's done. Yeah, she has. But sometimes you have to understand, you know, where you are, you have to accept. I would not say that overachieved. No, not at all. Not at all. There are certain games where I say that United haven't done what they should have done, but in terms of the overall position of the league and how things have gone, not at all.
I think that's a good comment, and a few good comments in the comments as well. Natalie, your thoughts on that one?
I don't think they've overachieved. I think, like what Rodney says, I think I was a bit, not shocked, but when we got that point against Chelsea in the first, I think, I wouldn't say overachieved, but I think that's a surprise to everyone because we didn't have all the players that we had. But I think, you know, beating Arsenal, I sort of expected it to be tougher, but I expected to go out there and definitely compete a lot more than what we had done against the top teams. And I think that's what we're doing now. And I think we've got that consistency now. Obviously, Reading happened and what's happening now, but I think the first half of the season, we had that consistency that we didn't have last season where we were picking up points against teams that you sort of, you know, expect us to beat. Maybe now you can just say it's leveling out. Injuries, I think if we didn't have as many injuries, we might still be up there. You know, if Tobin wasn't injured and, you know, we're missing Leslie a lot because other player, you know, no LJ. So for me, we wanted to be in top three. It's where we are now. I see Matt saying expectations rose, and I think it rose when we got top. You know, but I think if you look at me, I said it to Rich, didn't I? October, I was saying we can win the league. I'm not saying it. I'm still saying it, yeah, but obviously it's not going to happen. But I'm still saying it because it's mathematically possible. And it's only until it's mathematically impossible, I'll stop saying it. But, you know, for me, yeah, I think we got a bit carried away. But why shouldn't we get carried away? That's what I don't understand.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, your mate comes on here now, like we said, but we're sitting top. No one expected us to sit in top. He's supposed to support Chelsea, all these players. Why weren't they sitting top for the length of time? They're only just sitting top now. And yeah, this is when it matters. But for me, I thought it was going to be a few points in it to get third, not 9 points ahead, like you said. So I'm just happy, man.
Yeah, you know, I've got a question. Apart from the guy who's a Chelsea fan, I bet he wasn't running his mouth when Brighton left.
No, he didn't come on that week. He didn't come on.
Missing. I told you, got lost. You got lost on YouTube. Yeah. You know, Matt's comment about the challenging, didn't expect to challenge the title until around expectations rose, is a good point. But this is what I think. In terms of the expectations from fans, I would say probably hedge the bets. But I would bet at £100 that Casey Stoney has told their players we can win the league. And she would have told them that from the beginning of the season. I'm telling you. Yeah. She's not doing the week by week and, what do you think? And let me see. She doesn't come across like that. She would have told them in no uncertain terms, this is our objective. This is what we are going to, this is the plan that we are working towards. So from an internal point of view of the team, they would have been saying to themselves, and this is why when Nat said the players were saying it, that's not coming from the fans. That's something that they've had drilled in them from within. What's made it the wobble is obviously the defeats. But in terms of overachieve, no, not overachieve. Not overachieve. You know, and this is I know this is not transfer rumor. You know, I look at certain things, and I know me and Nat had spoken about someone months ago, and I'm going to say the name, and I know Nat's probably just going to go, "Oh, where would this team be if Ebony Salmon was still with them?"
If I speak about Ebony, I'll get in trouble. If I speak about Ebony, I'll get in trouble, so there's no point, mate, anymore.
I'm sorry. I retract that. Can you edit that out?
No, listen.
Apologies, Nat. Apologies.
No. Look at her. Look at what she's doing. Did I not say Rodney had his podcast. Rodney was one of the first podcasts that I went on as well, John. And like I obviously had done it in the men's game. I'd done Full-Time Devils. Anyone who knows me knows I'm always around doing fan cams after. But the first podcast about the women's was Rodney's, and we were talking about Barmy Army and growing it. And it was year 1, OG 21. And I remember when she left, and I said, no, that is the one we're going to. I said, her and Nom. Everyone was saying about Charlie Devlin. I love Charlie Devlin. I wish her all the best and success. But I said, we're going to regret selling Ebony. And now look at her. She's made England call up. And she's got about six. No, she's got 9 goals this season.
Yeah. In a team that's in a team that's bottom.
That's it, mate.
Yeah. In a team that's bottom now. They couldn't buy a win. So I'm looking at that, and I'm looking at her, and I'm thinking, wow. When people talk about the lack of goals and the opportunities, and what we're going to do about Galton, and we've got to move. This league is dependent upon goal scorers. You need goal scorers, and not just people from midfield. You need goal scorers, people that know where the goal is. And apologies to everyone, and apologies now. I didn't want to, because when you said, I totally forgot.
No, but listen, I've seen people saying why they're confused. Ebony, when she was at Sheffield, because that's where she went on loan to Sheffield, she did score a lot of goals at Sheffield. And I said, yeah, but there was, I think, the thing with why they let her go or this, I think they were coming up into the WSL. That was a massive step up. So, yes, she had done it at Sheffield, but how can I say she was like that? Danny Welbeck, Andy Cole, where they need like 5 chances and they score 1. Now, she's clinical and scoring it all the time. But
learning her trade.
That's what I think it was with Casey. She thought, I need some experience. I need an experienced striker. Went wrong. I think now they've got Fuso.
Yeah.
She could be that Ebony. And it's sad. It really pains me. When I think about it. I know a lot of people say
I don't want to say anymore because I've got a thought in my head and I don't even want to say it. So I'm not going to say it. I don't want to say it.
Say it. Free space.
No. It's not about no. It's about where she might go. I don't want to say it.
Don't say it.
I don't want to
well,
say
yeah.
it.
What you can say, Rodney, is your thoughts on Tooney just to end the show. What season she's had?
She's had a brilliant season. She's a key player in the team. But I'm going to be a bit demanding of her and say that I know that she's got a lot more in her locker. And I would expect to see much more from her, not just about her goal scoring, but her the creative attributes that she has for those forward players in front of her. You know, she's for me as a United follower. When you put on a number 7, it means something. Yeah, you know, when people say your words have weight, and you know you have to, your actions are measured in terms across time. You wear that number 7, it means something. So yeah, you know, had a great season, but I know she's got a lot more. I'm not expecting her to deliver, but I know that she has the potential to just, you know, be the king or the queen. Yeah.
And that's a great way to end the show. A bit of positivity there. And we've said it all season long since we've started this show back in September.
Can I say a quick, Matt, you can take the praise.
There we go. And nice of Matt and Ben there just to end the show as well. Thank you very much for keeping in touch in the comments, guys. Rodney, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on.
Thank you. It's been good. It's been good to actually be back on a pod with you and be back on with Nat as well. It's easy, like gloves, just fit. Yeah. Wicked.
I really hope we do it again. Let's sort something out. Me and Nat's got an idea that we'll run by you as well. Look, thank you very much for coming on, Rodney. Give us your socials, please, mate.
Oh gosh, my socials. It's at Rodney_Cyrus, and the podcast is at On and Off the PIT1.
It's scrolling along the bottom if you guys have seen it.
Have a look. Check me out if you're bothered.
Definitely.
And where can people find you, Nat?
At Natalie_17, but definitely Barmy Army.
Barmy Army doing bits. Oh, and can I say, I think you were nominated, weren't you? Fans for Diversity, Barmy Army. Well done.
Oh, where were it? Oh,
I think you're on there. I think you have to look at the FSA. I think you're on there.
go vote. If we're on there, go
Yeah,
vote.
I think you're on there. Yeah, for the work you did in your socials, and your
Army.
Yeah.
Go on, go vote for us.
Exclusive right here.
At we on the FSA.
Yeah, check out. I'm sure if I'm wrong, apologies, but I'm sure.
Yeah. I swear I just voted, Rodney. I don't think I was there, but okay, we're there. It's all good.
Yeah. Oh
Go
gosh.
vote, people. Then we are the FSA. It is.
Yeah.
So if we're on there, everyone in the comments get voting.
Yeah.
Check it out, definitely.
Yeah.
Next week, we're not on Thursday, we're on Friday because the men's Europa game. So we're on Friday and we're with Molly Hudson. Yeah. So that is going to be an amazing one. Please.
Oh, gosh, Molly. I'd love to speak to Molly, but I'm not going to speak to Molly.
Go speak to her. She's available. It's going to be a big one, that. Talking about the FA. So do we like them or not? Boom. What can they do to improve the game? There you go. It's going to be a big one. Get your comments in.
Massive fun. You can find me on Twitter, John Foster, MUFC. Thank you to everybody in the comments. It's been a real good show tonight. Loads of debates, loads of difference of opinions, but we can all back up our points, which is great. And see you very soon.